Tonight, Premier Stephen Marshall visits the Spencer Gulf to address major issues facing the region. And the search continues for a man missing from Cleve.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. Regional South Australia's drought crisis has been put under the spotlight during a community forum in Cleve. Premier Stephen Marshall touring the Eyre Peninsula today to meet with communities and hear their concerns firsthand.
In the grips of devastation, drought-stricken farmers are on their knees, pleading with the government for help.
It's been pretty tough the last 2 years. You've probably seen newses, Facebooks, all the dust storms. A lot of that is coming from our area sort of thing.
It's the second consecutive year farmers have been in drought on the Eyre Peninsula, many fearing there will be a third.
It's going to make it pretty hard in this country. Not just for the farmers, for the local publicans, for the local businesses. It's going to make it pretty tough for everyone sort of thing.
A dry season mixed with high winds is a recipe for disaster for any farmer. The wind gusts blow dry topsoil and seeds out of paddocks, leaving the farm with no crop.
You can sort of get through one bad year. When you have 2 or 3 in a row, it starts taking its toll pretty well.
Today, South Australia's Premier touched down in drought-stricken Cleve to hear the concerns of farmers firsthand.
We are here to listen to the concerns of people who have been devastatingly affected by dry and drought conditions. We know that it's really super tough in parts of our state.
It's the second trip the Premier's made to the Eyre Peninsula and follows on the back of the government's $21 million drought relief project announced last year.
There's plenty of other things that we've done in response to our visit last year, including making sure that we could provide $25 million towards the upgrade of the dog fence.
Despite the government being here in Cleve today, it's done little to ease the concerns of local farmers. Many say they're already running into a deficit as the drought continues and are worried without any intervention, their worst fears will be realised.
If this drought doesn't break this year, it's going to be pretty, like I said earlier, it's going to be pretty catastrophic on the community, I think. The third drought will be tough to take.
Peter Rann has been a farmer on the outskirts of Cleve for more than 60 years. He says the recent drought has hit the farm hard, the family-owned property recording a $200,000 loss last financial year.
From April on, it's very important. It's very important to get some good rain in April to kick the season away, and that didn't happen last year.
The Eyre Peninsula agriculture sector exports more than $600 million a year and supplies more than 40% of South Australia's wheat. Farmers say without proper government support, the whole state will suffer.
They're reliant on our industry to carry the state because what primary production is worth to the state. Our exports of grain and wool and sheep for meat are quite substantial.
I know their budgets are tight, like all of ours. But I hope they just start throwing a few more dollars around to the local communities, especially out here in the country, just to keep us going for another year.
We're here to support those who are doing it tough, to listen to what they've got to say, to formulate our response in the lead up to this year's state budget.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Authorities are investigating a theft at a church in Whyalla where more than $3,000 worth of equipment was stolen. Police were called to the Whyalla's Adventist Church on Saturday morning when members arrived for their weekly mass, finding various items including a DVD player, projector and microphones missing. Members were forced to hold their new pastor welcoming mass in the kitchen area.
Devastated. I was totally gutted. I couldn't believe that someone would go that low to do something like that. People don't need to steal from here. If they need something, we'll happily give it to them. If they need food, if they need clothing.
It's not the first time the church has fallen victim to theft, with the attached Adra op shop also previously broken into. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. Regional Ambulance Services will soon receive a $20 million boost as part of the state government's proposed rural health plan. The Health Minister announcing the plans today while touring the newly renovated Port Pirie Hospital.
Providing answers to the rural health crisis. The Health Minister today visiting Port Pirie, announcing a plan to assist those who help others.
Building our volunteer and professional workforces to make sure that we've got the mix of workers that we need to deliver health services in the country.
Each regional health sector will take a bite out of the rural health workforce strategy.
4 years, we will have developed it across all of the professions. So I think that anything that is supporting rural health services, today we're looking at the ambulance, we've looked at medicine, we'll continue to look at implementing those plans.
What we saw today was a really strong collaboration and partnership approach from both the health network and our SAS paramedics and volunteers.
This plan comes amid recent concerns from ambulance staff who say they work long hours and are often ramped.
It's important, I think the union raised a specific issue in the country about on-call. This plan does include that as a part of a strategy, so we probably have to come up with some innovative ways of looking at that.
Public feedback on the strategy is being encouraged.
Is accessible on the internet and for people to have their say. We're very, very keen to get everybody's views incorporated.
Whilst visiting, the Minister also took the time to inspect a new $2 million cooler room at the Port Pirie Hospital. The upgrade said to improve the lives of staff and patients.
It's very important that we continue to make sure that the facility here at Port Pirie is fit for purpose.
This renovation here at the Port Pirie Hospital is part of a wider $20 million project to upgrade other rural hospitals around the Spencer Gulf.
We've got world-class clinicians, nurses, doctors, ambulance officers. We need to make sure that they've got the facilities they need.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Authorities have today continued their search for missing Cleve man Daryl Norris. The 59-year-old was last seen last Tuesday night at around 8:30 at his home in Cleve. He hasn't been seen or heard from since. Authorities have searched nearby areas but say so far they've found no trace of him and are preparing to scale down the search. Police say Mr Norris is a family man and his loved ones are very distressed and concerned. Anyone who may have information on his whereabouts is asked to contact police. Still to come tonight, a new facility in Broken Hill set to care for animals in vulnerable situations, and a reminder from police to lock up vehicles or risk being targeted. Hello again. 7 Spencer Gulf News has been given an early look inside Broken Hill's new animal shelter. The site near the airport will replace the current facility and can manage dozens of animals at one time.
A project 5 years in the making. Council today unveiling its new animal companion shelter.
We were able to find one of our own buildings that had no use, and we were able to convert it into a pound, and we think the outcome's absolutely fantastic.
The facility, an old fuel depot near the airport. The old pound on Rackhouse Street was an outdoor facility, but its location triggered a number of noise complaints.
Sound, or the potential sound of the barking of 20 dogs, could present an issue. One of the key criteria for us was to build a facility that would be able to withstand that.
The shelter has 20 dog and 16 cat cages with rooms to increase capacity if required. During the planning stage, the council rangers who will use the facility were integral in the design.
The rangers was actually instrumental right from the beginning when we designed the facility, so they made us aware of what they need on the ground.
The shelter full of safety features to make operation easier for the rangers. The dangerous dog cages have sliding walls so staff will no longer have to enter the cage to control vicious canines. All spaces have automatic watering bowls, the walls are soundproofed, there's dedicated exercise yards and air conditioning.
One of the key components for us is always around rehoming. We have an 85% rehoming rate, which is absolutely fantastic and quite high.
Council plans to have the building opened next Friday. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill Police are once again urging locals to not leave any valuables in their vehicles as it increases the chances of being broken into. A number of vehicle break-ins have been reported over the last few weeks. Officers warning simply locking your car isn't a big enough deterrent.
Take any items out of the car and take them inside or take them with them wherever they're going. If they can't, maybe it's a bulky item, put it somewhere that no one's going to see it.
Police say if locals notice anything suspicious or have information about a break-in, contact Crime Stoppers. Farmers in regional South Australia are calling on the state government to support refencing properties which have eroded. Locals say drifting soils and bare paddocks has left gaps in fence lines, which has then opened the door for feral animals to sneak in and destroy farmland. Local government says it's recognised the problem.
Fences have been eroded or covered up and refencing projects need to be undertaken.
A government subsidy on refencing properties is being considered. The South Australian Government has reached a milestone of 100 projects underway through the Skilling South Australia program. Port Pirie employment facilitators hailing the project as a step in the right direction for regional jobs and communities.
A win for employees and employers. This project working hand in hand with 700 South Australian businesses.
In regional areas we have some very specific and unique workforce needs and some challenges, but there's also lots of opportunities out there.
The state government initiative currently has more than 13,000 apprentices and trainees in this program, working towards upskilling for in-demand industries.
What the enablers are that we can put in place for those businesses or industries to start their skills training if they haven't done it previously, or expand their skills training if they're already doing it.
Businesses are from a variety of different industries, including the popular beer program undertaken at Port Lincoln's Beer Garden Brewing, and no shortage of demand.
You know, growing need for people in aged care, disability, construction, but we also need to look forward to the jobs of the future and to the changing needs of our workforce as well.
Port Pirie employment facilitators say it's not the only project assisting the community.
We're really lucky here in Port Pirie. We've got a great TAFE campus and we've also got the Uni Hub offering higher education. And we're also looking at getting an industry training hub funded by the Australian government starting next year.
Regional businesses and residents encouraged to get on board.
If people are interested in Skilling South Australia, I'd really encourage them to visit skills.sa.gov.au where they can find out more information about the state and federal government programs.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us, still to come in our bulletin tonight. Preparations for the Whyalla Unearth Festival underway and extra incentives for trots drivers in Broken Hill. Welcome back. Whyalla's Unearth Festival is almost underway, with council busy preparing for the big event at Ada Ryan Gardens. This year's Fringe Festival will see performers from across the region showcasing their talent at multiple satellite events.
A celebration of colour, fun and a chance to let your inner unique self shine, the popular Whyalla Unearth Fringe Festival is making a return for its 4th year.
We are having our free community event here again in the Ada Ryan Gardens on Saturday the 21st of March, so we are gearing up for that. But alongside it this year we've really expanded the program out to include a lot of satellite events.
The satellite events focus on incorporating more community activity and different venue spaces across Whyalla. The local council excited its city is in the spotlight.
We've got the Whyalla Players, a Live at Lefties event, we've got a amazing theatre thing happening at O'Keeper's Green Market, we've got the Whyalla Film Festival, we've got the Whyalla Art Group doing an exhibition.
Local filmmakers also showcased, with the Whyalla Film Festival taking part.
We got funding from the South Australian Film Corporation and we have 2 feature films as well as a whole lot of locally made content.
Council's encouraging schools to get involved with this year's lantern competition, taking inspiration from previous festivals.
Last year Samaritan College had made some amazing lanterns. We thought that was a super idea.
The gardens will be filled with food and market stalls and a main stage with entertainment provided throughout the day. This year's headline act, Mazioki.
They come out of the UK and they do like mass karaoke, so it's a giant sing-along for everyone to end the night.
And the popular Rainbow Run event will also be back, with more information released in the Unearth program mid-February.
There's also an Instagram and a Facebook page for the Unearth Festival where you can keep up to date on any events that are announced or acts that are coming up.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Pirie and Port Augusta's uni hubs are in their final days of university intakes, with applications for semester 1 closing soon. Uni hub centres work to cater for students wanting to study regionally. Staff are encouraging those interested to check out the new business courses available in partnership with Flinders University. Applications close on February 21 and more information can be found online. 2 Broken Hill harness racing drivers are wearing teal pants at local meetings to help raise money for cancer research. For every win they drive until March, $400 will go to the Women's Cancer Foundation.
Broken Hill's very own Team Teal.
I'm just proud to be a female being able to do what we can. Cass has driven a lot more winners than me this season so far, so I've only got 1, but oh well, we're getting there and hopefully we can get some more.
The Team Teal campaign was started by Harness Racing Victoria in 2014 and has branched out far and wide.
In Australia, in New Zealand, and also has branched out into the United States and Europe to also get people aware of funding is required for ovarian cancer research.
For 6 weeks through February and March, the campaign sees all Reigns women race in teal driving pants. For every win they get, Harness Racing New South Wales and Tabcorp donate $200 each to the Australia-New Zealand Gynecological Oncology Group.
Last year and in New South Wales we raised $36,000. That's Harness Racing New South Wales alone. That's not including the Tabcorp.
Across Broken Hill's first 2 local meetings, Ash and Cassie have helped raise $1,600. Cassie leads with 3 wins so far. Ash got her first of the season on Saturday night, getting Colorado Boy across the line in a tight finish.
Colorado Boy coming down the outside and through the middle as well. It's Neto winning. Colorado Boy, Colorado Boy, Colorado Boy brings.
In the race, he was going well, and I thought, well, yeah, this horse is going to be in with a treat. So I'm coming around to the home bend, and he was swooping home, and of course, it just happened to be a first winner for me, which was good.
For Cassie, she's happy to be back out on her local track. The start of the local trot season was rescheduled this year to avoid most of the summer heat. Cassie says she's hopeful more wins are to come.
Me and Don's got a pretty handy little stable, I think, so if we can just keep running places, of course we like to win to get more money for the girls, but you know, you try and run the places and makes the season go a lot nicer.
You can catch the next Broken Hill Harness Racing meeting this Saturday night at Memorial Oval. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us, still to come. Sophia Kontagonis will have this week's sport wrap and we'll have the weather with Brit. Hello again. Time now to take a look at all the sporting action from across the region. Here's Sophia Kontagonis with this week's Sport Wrap.
It was a big weekend of local sport across the Spencer Gulf and here in Whyalla. Looking at basketball first, and Whyalla's Rapina team defeated the Demons by 19 points. In the other game, Bevan Braves and Titans split the points after tying 45 apiece. Moving on to Port Pirie, the Ducks made it back-to-back wins, defeating the Globetrotters by 8. Lyle Gillett scored 16 points. And in the second game, Pacers dispatched the Tomcats by 33. Lawson Munzberg, the man of the match, scoring 31 points, including 5 three-pointers. Over in Port Augusta, 24 points for Cameron Benbow saw the Eagles fly high against the Titans, and the Cobras defeated Wildcats by a striking 35 points. 3 great games in Port Lincoln. Tasman and Sharks both drew 46 all. Rangers 1 defeated Lincoln South Yellow and Rangers 2 took out Lincoln South Blue. Jamie Lau, the man of the match, scoring 35 points. Taking a look at Whyalla baseball, the junior game between the Roadies and Indians was tight. Indians pitcher Cooper Kenyon was throwing some smoke with 8 strikeouts. Reagan Simmons was good with the bat, smashing a home run. For the Roadies, JJ Scott was good in the field, taking 2 catches. In the seniors game, the Roadies bounced back to beat the Indians. Moving to softball, and it was a high-scoring nail-biter when the Tigers took on Eagles, goals, 1 run separating the team at the end. Jean McIntosh scored an infield home run that was a highlight of the game. The other game was a bit more one-sided, Indians trouncing the Roadies 24 runs to 2. Over to Port Pirie, Cats handed Cougars a get-out-of-jail-free card on Saturday, leading by 6 runs to 1 at the bottom of the 4th innings, before a late fight back saw the Cougars pip them by 1 run in a thrilling finish. Kiana Northcott, Georgia Salt and Anne Russack were named the best players. Checkmates defeated Tigers by 3. The winning team welcoming back Jackie Bateson, who scored 3 safe hits from 3. Thanks to those who sent in their results. We'll be back again next week.
And Britt Halen joins us now with the weather.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening. 33 was the high at Broken Hill today. Port Augusta and Port Pirie both 31, Whyalla 29, Port Lincoln 23. We saw clear and sunny skies about most of the region today under a ridge of high pressure, with a trough causing some scattered cloud about coastal areas. Continuing to tomorrow now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southerly winds at 15 to 20 knots with seas at 1 metre. Sunrise just before 6:45 and sunset just before 8:15. Mild conditions expected tomorrow, fine and partly cloudy over most areas, apart from the Flinders district where it's looking sunny. A top of 32 degrees at Woodner, Port Augusta, Corn, Broken Hill and Port Pirie all 31, Kadina 29, Whyalla and Clare both 28, Coffin Bay 27, Port Lincoln 25, Cleve a top of 24 degrees. Further through the week now, partly cloudy conditions at Port Lincoln on Thursday, cloudy on Friday with tops of 26 both days. Cleve and Woodner both looking fine through the remainder of the working week. Whyalla fine Thursday and Friday, similar conditions at Kadina. Port Augusta sunny and 35 on Thursday, Friday partly cloudy with an expected top of 32. A sunny forecast for Port Pirie and Clare on Thursday, both with tops of 32, partly cloudy on Friday, Broken Hill remaining fine and partly cloudy through the week. And that's today's weather segment, Louise. Back to you.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Tuesday evening. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have updates later, but until then, have a lovely evening. Good night.